Hello guys and gals, this is Aegis Don Levity of the Interrobang Group. This is a Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. And today I'm going to be talking to you about twisty puzzles. What are twisty puzzles? What kind of twisty puzzles are there? I've got just about my entire collection over here. I'm going to be going through all of them. The only other puzzles in my collection that I'm not including either just aren't interesting enough or are broken. In particular, this one I really like. I got it as a gift for Christmas one year. It's called Venus Cube. And I was trying to adjust the tensions with a screwdriver. And I was trying to take the fucking center caps off. I cut a big chunk of my finger. Still got a scar to it to this day. And I broke the cube. It's probably fixable, but I just haven't got around to it. But what is a twisty puzzle? I got them all in order over here of when I'm going to show them off and talk about them. But one probably all of you have seen is this one. This is a 3x3, universally referred to just as a Rubik's Cube. And yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It's just a Rubik's Cube. How do you solve it is another question. What you do is you solve it in certain steps and use what are called algorithms. An algorithm is a certain series of moves that rotates, permutes, whatever, just certain pieces, leaving a lot of it in place. So really what you do when you're solving a 3x3 is I'll quick scramble it up and kind of go over what you do. All right, so first what you do is you solve what is called the cross. Here, I'm not the best at 3x3, but see, you start with that, as you can see, and I'm also matching these over here. And then a beginner method, you'd put all the corners in place here, but I do something called F2L, which stands for first two layers. So what that means is I put two pieces together and solve the first two layers as one instead of using the extra step of putting the the edge pieces into place. I'm not very good at F2L. As I said, my 3x3 solving leaves a lot to be desired. I'm pretty good at 2x2 and that's about it. So yeah, you solve this big chunk here. You can see that whole chunk is solved. And then we just do the last layer, which is separated into OLL and PLL. OLL stands for orient last layer, and then PLL stands for permute last layer. So I do 2-look OLL, which means I orient the corners, and then I orient the edges with two algorithms. So first, I orient the corners, and then I orient the edges. Now you can see it's all yellow there. Then what we do is PLL permute last layer, which is putting all the pieces into place. As with that, I do 2-look, so I put all the corners into place. And then I do the same thing with all the edges. And then it's solved. Honestly, it's a lot easier than it looks. Most of you, me included, are just going to have to look up a tutorial on it. It's very hard to figure out how to solve it on your own, coming up with your own algorithms. But that is, that is the most well-known one. Then I got this in my unboxing video I did recently, and I couldn't figure out how to fucking open this thing. Little did I know, I just hold it like this and squeeze it and open it up. And I felt so stupid once I figured that out. That is my new 2x2 main. It is a GAN 251 Pro. There's also the GAN 251 Air and the GAN 251 Leap. And then solving a 2x2 is basically just solving the corners of a 3x3. A lot of people will look at this and they'll go, oh, that's easy, I can solve it. But there's so many states it can be in, you're never going to solve it by just randomly turning it. All right? You got to use algorithms, so yeah. But I don't know, my favorite thing to solve is 2x2 just because that's what I'm best at. I use something called the Ortega method, which I'll scramble it up and kind of go through what that includes. So with the Ortega method, first thing you're going to do... Let's try that again. So first thing with the Ortega method, that's not good. Let me find a good scramble for you. There we go. This will be a good one. That shows off how the Ortega method works. So first thing, I solve this face. I don't solve the entire layer, just the face. And then I do the same thing with the other face. And then I do one algorithm to solve the rest of the thing. And usually I can get like between 4 and 8 seconds with that. But 2x2, pretty easy. It gets a lot harder down the road. Right now I'm going through all the WCA puzzles. WCA stands for World Cubing Association. WCA puzzles are the one that they like really officially track records of. So there's like 2x2, of course. 3x3, they also have one-handed 3x3, blind 3x3 solving. I know how they do blind 3x3 solving, but I'm never going to be able to do it myself. I don't even care enough to do it. But next we have the 4x4 and the 5x5. You may think 5x5 is going to be harder than 4x4. Honestly, in my opinion, 4x4 is going to be harder than 5x5 because you can get something called parity. So let's see. See, with 4x4, what you do when you're solving larger cubes, I should explain this first, is first you turn it into a 3x3. So you get all the centers together, you get all the edge pieces together, and then as you can see, it just solves like a 3x3 with, let's see if, yeah, just with these big edges and big centers. But with the 4x4, since there aren't any center edge pieces, you can get this thing where literally one edge is flipped. If you had that on a 3x3, it would be physically impossible to solve without taking it apart. But with a 4x4, you can learn a parity algorithm, which flips that one edge. Here, let me solve it. There's another parity you can get on it, where literally just two edges are swapped. Same goes with that, as physically impossible to solve. If you had that on a 3x3 cube, you would have to take it apart. Once again, since there aren't any center edge pieces like there are on the 5x5, see it's got that center edge piece, you can have just two edges switched. And then next, the 6x6 is also a WCA puzzle, but I don't have one. I just have 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, 5x5, and 7x7. I'll probably end up getting a 6x6 one day. I just don't happen to have one right now. But once you start just getting into adding more and more layers onto your puzzle, excuse me, it does not make it harder. It just makes it a lot more tedious and time consuming. Because this and this are solved in the same way. Honestly, there's there's one more algorithm I use when solving 7x7. When it gets down to fixing all the centers on the last two faces that you're on. But honestly, 7x7 is a lot more daunting than it looks. It looks more daunting than it really is what I should say. It is not as hard as it looks. It's actually pretty fun to solve. But those are all the regular like cubic puzzles. And then I'm going to have a drink and I will go on to the rest of the WCA puzzles. Next is the Pyraminx. Excuse me, it was invented by Hugh Maffert. The Rubik's Cube is invented by Erno Rubik. And I want to say 1974, I might be wrong. This one, the Pyraminx, was invented by Hugh Maffert before the Rubik's Cube ever came out. It just wasn't mass-produced or anything yet. But this one is a lot easier than any of the puzzles we've seen so far. It is a tetrahedron, which means it is a 4-faced polyhedron. And yeah, it's not too hard to solve. It turns on the corners. And then these and the center caps also rotate, but those don't make it any harder. Whenever I solve pyramids, I don't even scramble these up just because it's kind of stupid in my opinion. It doesn't add to the solve right or anything. It just goes like, oh, I gotta fucking flip these, you know. That's the pyramids. Pretty fun puzzle to solve. And then this is also produced by UMeffort. I can't remember who invented it though. It's called a Scube. There's another cubic puzzle. And then it turns on the corners. And it turns half the puzzle at once. It's challenging to first solve it, but once you figure out how to solve it, it's not too hard. I'll quick solve it so you can see what it looks like when it's solved. See, this is honestly pretty. These are the two easiest puzzles so far, honestly. And then this one is quite a step up. This is another WCA puzzle like the last several. It's called a Megaminx. It is a face-turning dodecahedron. A dodecahedron is a polyhedron with 12 faces, all pentagonal. Well, there are other ways to make a dodecahedron, but most commonly you're going to see it with pentagonal faces. And it uses very similar algorithms to solving a 3x3. It is a bit harder to solve it than a 3x3. And the main thing that makes it hard for me is, like, there's so many pieces, and I'll be like, where's that piece at when you're solving it? You know, like, you're looking all over for a particular piece, and it's, like, halfway across the cube. I don't know how people speed solve these just because there's so many pieces, and I can't find where the hell they are. But it's a fun puzzle to solve nonetheless. And then what I would say is probably the hardest of all the WCA puzzles is the square one. Let me just show you what it looks like when I turn it. See, it changes shape, which makes it a lot harder to solve. Because not only do these pieces switch with each other, but it can change shape like that. Honestly, it is not only the most challenging of the bunch for WCA puzzles, but I think is the most fun puzzle to solve out of all of them. Excuse me. And this new one I got in my unboxing, oh my god, it is so much better than the last square one I had. This one's a YJ, I think. I couldn't figure out for the life of me what it was when I did my unboxing, what brand it was. But literally, after the video, I just rotated the box 90 degrees, and I'm like, oh, it's a YJ. Because it said YJ in big freaking letters. But yeah, those are all the WCA puzzles. I don't know what else to say about them. Here, let's give the square one a bit of a scramble. If you rotate this like this and turn it, you can keep that in shape, but this little center, as you can see, changes. But I want to show you what it looks like when it's scrambled. Like, see, this isn't very scrambled, but you kind of get the point, right? I know, it's a fun puzzle. Next, I want to go over what are called shape mods. So, this is one of the most common 3x3 shape mods. These are the same puzzle. Its shape has just been modified. So see, these both solve the exact same, except you can get parity on this because this is an edge piece. It can be rotated, 90 degrees. And one of these will be rotated 90 degrees, and you're like, how the hell do I solve that? You just have to rotate both of these. And also with this, you can have, this is a centerpiece. See, this is a centerpiece. When you're solving it, it might be rotated, and you have to rotate it back, which isn't a thing that happens on a regular 3x3. But let's kind of show you what it looks like when it's solved, when it scrambles. As you can see, this is centerpiece. These are two edges. These are two edges. I'm just trying to get a good... It's hard to scramble it looking through the webcam. As you can see, it kind of changes shape, and it looks like a big jumbled mess when it's scrambled. But honestly, it's not too hard to solve. That is... Oh, this is the Fisher Cube, by the way. I didn't say what it was called. The Fisher Cube was invented by a guy named Tony Fisher. And yeah, that is one of the more common 3x3 shape mods. This is one of my favorite 3x3 shape mods. It's called an Axis Cube. As you can see, it kind of looks a bit weird. It turns kind of on the edges, and it is impossible to turn this cube without changing shape. Let me kind of show you what it looks like when it's this one. Yeah, this is, that right there is what's called a checkerboard pattern. This is a checkerboard pattern. This is also a checkerboard pattern, but just because of the way the cube is made, it looks like a friggin' mess. It's also very fun to solve. It's a bit challenging to wrap your head around at first. But honestly, as with any 3x3 shape mod, it is not that hard. The only 3x3 shape mod I've ever had a challenge with is also my favorite one. Universally, this is just known as the hardest 3x3 shape mod there is. It's called a ghost cube. As you can see, you're like, what the fuck? It's all one color. How do you even solve it? Each piece is a different shape, and you solve it by shape. And that's not even the start of how challenging it is. See right here, at this position, I can only turn this face and this face because this is its solved state. Well, you have to turn it into this and then put them into place, because I don't know how to explain it very well, but basically it's solved state. This is this. So what you're looking at here is like this, if that makes sense to you at all. And so you have to solve it into this shape and then do that. Well, you know what I mean. So once you have it like this, then you can start making turns. I'll do a scramble of it so you can kind of see what it looks like. But no, this is the hardest 3x3 shape mod there is. And it's pretty fun to solve. It was challenging the first few times I did it, but eventually got kind of used to it. And yeah, that's what it looks like. It's pretty fun. Excuse me. This is one I got in my unboxing video. I have not dared scramble it yet because I'll probably do a scramble right now and see what it looks like scrambled. Because what this is called it's developed by Whit Eden. It was invented by Oscar Van Deventer, my favorite puzzle designer. And it's called a mix-up cube. Now, what makes this challenging is, excuse me. Let me solve it. We'll scramble it like a 3x3 first. And then I'll do one of these moves. See, centers are rotated 45 degrees, I think. And then you can rotate it like that. Wow, I have never scrambled this before, and I can already tell it is going to be a challenging puzzle. It's a bit hard to turn. Wow. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge. Because not only do you have to get it back into the shape of the 3x3 and solve it like a 3x3, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of parity where something's fucked up in a way that is impossible on a regular 3x3 once you've solved into that part. But yeah, that's the 3x3 mix-up cube by Whit Eaton and Oscar Van Deventer. And then this one I picked up at a puzzle store in the cities. It's called a Mario Sanko sphere. It's basically a 2x2, except it's a sphere. It's got these little center thingies that turn. Only thing is, not all of these centers turn very well, so I don't really solve it very often. It's kind of cool, but if these centers turned better, I would probably solve it more. Like right there, it kind of gets hard to turn. All right, then I have two Scube shape mods. I don't know what the hell this thing is called. I don't remember where I got it. I just saw it on my shelf and I was like, oh, I should probably include that in the video. And this is Scube shape mod. It's modified into a dodecahedron. It looks like it would change shape when you scramble it, but it really doesn't. I have not scrambled it, and I don't ever remember owning it, to be honest, but it doesn't seem too hard. And this is one of my favorite puzzles I own. This is the Scube Extreme. It was developed by Tony Fisher and produced by Mefferts. It is a shape modification of a Scube, and the only thing that makes it hard is the centers can be rotated, and you have to do algorithms to turn the centers right. But yeah, I don't know. It looks really cool. It turns pretty well too, and I just like the way it looks. This might just be my favorite puzzle that I own, but as you can see right there, I have two stickers missing. Let's see where the other one is. Yeah, right there and right there. I have two stickers missing, so I don't really solve it anymore. I'm half tempted to just order a new fucking cube, but it would probably be a lot cheaper. I can probably just find stickers of this online on CubeSmith or Oliver Stickers, you know. But this is a shape modification of Megaminx, except instead of dodecahedron, it is a cube and it turns on the edges. Because there are 12 edges on a cube. And it's pretty fun to solve. It changes shape, of course. As you can see, it changes shape. It's a very fun puzzle to solve. And like most shape mods, you can get center twists. Centers will be twisted, and you have to do an algorithm to get them into place. And next, this is a gear ball. I don't have a regular gear cube. Gear cube was a puzzle developed by Oscar Van Deventer, as I mentioned earlier. I should say. And he developed the gear cube. He's developed a lot of really cool puzzles. But he developed the gear cube. This is a gear ball. They work pretty much the same way. See, I cannot turn one edge 90 degrees. I turn it 180 degrees, and it turns the center 90 degrees. And it's also got these little gears that you can see they rotate. So you can get it solved like this, where there are just these gears rotated and you have to spin it like that. Honestly, I might just say these are probably easier than a regular 3x3. It's not that hard to solve them. They're pretty fun too. Excuse me. Next, I'm going to go over cuboids. This is a floppy cube. It is a 3x3x1. It is, unless you're going to count shit like 1x1x2s or anything like that, this is like the easiest cuboid there is. It literally just turns like that. It is so easy to solve. Anyone could probably pick this up and solve it just by randomly turning it even. And also it kind of shape shifts, as you can see right there. And you can do this, where literally just one edge is turned. So you gotta do this. But honestly, this might just be the easiest puzzle I own. So that's one cuboid. These are the two next most simple cuboids. This is the 3x3x2 or domino cube. This is the 2x2x3 or tower cube. They're both pretty easy to solve, and honestly, I want to say these are, I think I got the box for one of them over here. Yeah, I think these are Chi brand. They turn very well. So much better than, I used to have another domino cube 3x3x2, and this turns so much better for it. My old one broke, so I had to get a new one, and I wanted both of these for this video, so I ordered them both in the unboxing video I did. They turn very well. And they're pretty fun to solve. They're not too hard. This one, you can kind of see how it turns. I don't need to show it off too much. They're for pretty fun puzzles. But the biggest cuboid I have, which I should explain what a cuboid is, shouldn't I? A cuboid, you can kind of see the difference. This is a cube, this is a cuboid. So, like, how should I explain it? See, instead of being a full cube, this is just a, I guess you could say like a rectangular prism. I guess that would be the word for it. It's not a full cube. This is more than a full cube. It's a cube with 2 more layers added onto it. These are considered cuboids. This is considered a cube because it's a cube. And this is the biggest cuboid I have. This is when they start to get challenging. This is mass-produced by Calvin's Puzzle. This is a 3x3x5. I'll do a quick scramble of it. Why not? And soon you'll see why this is pretty challenging to solve. So first you're just going to scramble it like that. See, looks hard enough as it is. And then you start shape-shifting. It turns into a big mess like that. I used to have one of these, but it came apart and I can't figure out where it is for the Helmy. So I just bought myself a new one. This one's stickerless. The old one was stickered. I prefer stickerless puzzles. It's just a personal preference of mine. But yeah, that's what it looks like scrambled. Very fun puzzle to solve. Another shape mod I have. These are probably the 2 easiest puzzles I have. This one's probably easier than this one, though. This is I think it's called like a Dinomorphix. It's a shape modification of a Dino cube, which I don't have, into a tetrahedron, except this one's a bit pillowed. It turns on the corners like this. And the faces also turn, but it's hard to, there we go. See, it turns like that. There are 2 solved states for this, which is where all the faces are the same color. And then, let's see, I'll quick solve it into the other solved state. Doesn't turn the best, but it does what it needs to do, you know. And this is the other solved state where all the corners are one color. Well, vertices, whatever the hell you want to call them. All right, this is a truncated, what's it called? A helicopter cube. That's what it's called. This is a truncated helicopter cube. I ordered a helicopter cube, but it came with truncated, but I'm not the kind of person who likes to complain, so I was like, what the hell? I'll just play with this. I still don't have a regular helicopter cube. A regular helicopter cube, see these corners are truncated, they're cut down. Normally there would be corner pieces here. So this is a bit easier to solve. It turns on the edges, doesn't turn the best. And it also does something called jumbling. So see, I have this edge turned partially. I'll turn it that far, and as you can see, it jumbles. Jumbling is a sort of shape-shifting where you take a piece out of its natural orbit. That is a decently fun cube, but this is the curvy copter. This is a kind of like these are very similar. See, a regular helicopter cube has these corners on it, like this puzzle has. This one doesn't have corners for some fucking reason. And this one also has these, these center edge pieces here, which can be flipped, and it adds to the complicated nature of it. Honestly, I got this in my unboxing video. I scrambled it and solved it once, and I've decided this is probably my favorite puzzle I own. This one's probably my second favorite. Next, I want to say square one. Shit. And then next would be the ghost cube. No, this one, as with the other, it can jumble. And there's like one jumbling move that you do in solving it, which is you turn it like that, you jumble, and then you turn it back into shape. Now these little pedals, I think they're called, are switched in a way that would be impossible without jumbling the puzzle. Let's see if I can. There we go. Very fun puzzle to solve. Very fun puzzle to solve. Even with, I had to look up tutorial. I'm not that good at twisty puzzling, figuring out my own solutions, you know. So even looking up a tutorial for this, and I was having troubles, but I eventually got it, and I felt very satisfied when I did. This puzzle is also very easy. It's called I think it's called a rainbow cube. See, it's a truncated cube, like this puzzle. You just turn differently. See, this one you turn on the triangular faces, and it is very easy to solve. I believe it's a shape modification of a Dino cube or a Rex cube. I can't remember for the life of me, but it's very easy to solve one. All right, and then I'll show you one more puzzle, and then that'll be it. This is, as you can see, is scrambled. I cannot remember how I solved it the first time. It's called a face-turning octahedron. They recently released, I cannot remember the brand that did it. I might be ordering it soon. They released a speed cubable version of this. See, it turns on the face as thus the name face-turning octahedron, or some people just call it the FTO. Yeah, I guess I got like two more puzzles I can show off. This one's, I think it's called like the cheese cube. See, these match up on the, like that. And you can cut it through here. It turns so well this way. Like, look. I know it turns very well on those slice moves, and then, I mean, it turns all right this way, but since it turns so well here, while you're turning it this way, it wants to turn like this, so it gets locked up. But when it actually goes like this, it doesn't turn too bad. It's just that these keep trying to turn. So that one I can't remember how to solve either. It isn't scrambled. And then I also have this one. It's 4 fused 2x2s. It's literally just like solving 4 2x2s. It would be cool if you could like switch the pieces between the different cubes, but that would probably be very hard to develop a puzzle like that. You could probably do that with like 2 fused 3x3s and just do a shape mod of like a 5x5. But I don't know. I've never seen any puzzles like that. But yeah, that's just about my entire collection. That's what I hope I informed you what Twisty Puzzling is pretty well. If you have any questions, just ask me and I can probably answer most of them, or just look it up. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Aegis done levity of the Interrobang group. This has been my video on Twisty Puzzling. Thank you for watching and have a good day.